All right, what is up, fight fans? We are back for another episode of the Party Shot here on the South Florida Tribune Sports Network. I'm being joined by former Bellator fighter, former Ultimate Fighter contestant, UFC veteran, Mr. Bubba McDaniel. Bubba, I appreciate your time this afternoon, my friend. How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. Appreciate you having me on. Like I say, it's been a while since I got to do some of this stuff, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, man. I seen that you recently got signed and all that. I wanted to kind of touch base with you. Obviously, life's been crazy all over the world. All kinds of stuff changing in the combat sports world. I kind of figured it was definitely time to get back in there, man.
Heck yeah, yeah. And it's the crazy part too is you get older, things just start getting taken away from you. Like I got lower back issues, things like that. I had that tried to get out a couple times, but you know how it is too when it's in your blood like that. I just want to fight. I just want to do this. I want to train. There's always something. Then I 2013 or 2023, I'm sorry, I had that retirement fight from MMA and thought, well, that might be it. And thought, man, maybe we can do another bare knuckle eventually. And then, I ended up I had that encounter when I got shot right after that fight. So,
Yeah,
and
I did see that.
yeah,
Life's
shattered my
crazy. So
left
how did that
arm.
happen? Actually, like, I seen that I was going through some of the stuff. It is like you got shot, but there was also a bunch of other circumstances surrounding it. How did that whole thing come about, man?
Man, all right. So I have my son is 19 now, but he was 17 at that time. And I have let's say rambunctious 17-year-old child who's full of it all, thinking he needs to do it all. And he had him a little squirm, a little scrap, little squabble the night before. And it always comes down to somehow somebody say, and my son would be like, they said something about Wilder, and obviously Wilder's passed for a while. And he takes that real personal. And I don't know how much of it is people just trying to rile him up and things like that, and how much of it's serious. But it got serious, and he choked the guy to sleep and kicked him in the face. And it got bad. So ended up this little 15-year-old girl that was dating the guy, I guess, it ends up calling this guy, and this guy calls my son and basically telling him he's going to get him. And my son didn't realize to the extreme that he meant he was going to get him. And at that point, my son's saying, he said, bring your bitch ass daddy too. And I'm like, well, what's he gonna do to me? And he's like, my son's like, he's 25, Dad. I'm like, what do you mean he's 25? And at that point, I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, Dad, he's so much bigger than me. He's like 300 pounds. I'm like, what? So I looked this guy up or whatever. He's a big guy. He's about 6 foot, about 315. And I'm like, no, you're not fighting my 17-year-old who's 6 foot 155. Like, no, we're not going to have all that happen just because of all this. And so I thought that I was going to go and make sure this guy didn't get a hold of him, because I guess these kids were all going to have like a little, how the kids are, they get together and they all going to brawl. And I'm like, okay. So I told my son as we get there, and he's got a couple friends and everything. And I got another one of his friends in the backseat of my car. And I told him, and I wrapped my wrists up and everything. I'm like, just in case I got to go to work tomorrow, y'all. Like I don't, if I go hit this guy, I don't want to have to take some time off of work. And they're all just talking this, talking that. They're all Snapchatting back and forth, and they tell me about a church that they're going to go to. And I'm telling them as we get there, there's nobody there. I said, son, if there's nobody here and this guy doesn't show up, I'm not even getting out of the car. Y'all just do what y'all do, and I'm gonna go. And it ends up, they're like, oh, you're at the wrong spot. You're at the wrong spot. Okay, so we go round to this, and I didn't realize there was an abandoned church on the street that I was going to. And I was like, there's no church over there. I'm at a different church right there. Right around the corner is an abandoned church. Well, I'm like, oh. So I pull up, we're at a dead end. So I had to turn the car around. When I said turn the car around, I parked it on the church side of the road. Well, then, as we're looking at that, my son says, there he is, Dad. And he points kind of diagonal from where we are. So we're kind of backed into the corner from where it's the dead end. We're up about two spaces, 3 spaces or so, I'd say, from car lengths from the dead end. Well, this guy's coming at us at a direction horizontally, and he's standing there on a phone, and he's got a gun in his hand. And my son goes, Dad, he's got a gun. I said, what's he gonna do? You gonna try to scare us, or what's he doing? And he pops a shot into the ground. Boom. And I was like, did he just give us a warning shot? And so I'm sitting there, I was like, fuck him. And my son, I looked at him. I said, get that on film just in case. And, just in case and all that. I would go to hell as he picks up the camera. The dude starts unloading, and he starts us unloading at the car. And as he's unloading at the car, I just yelled at my son. I was like, "Get down!" And I've got a little 2-second video of it where you hear me go, "Oh, that motherfucker's shooting!" And so I threw it in drive, and the only way to get out of there was we had to go past him because he's coming to us this way, and we have to come out into the center of the road and then go past him to get out of there. And he's just kind of walking at us. And he unloaded at the car, and I'm doing this the whole time, just kind of holding, trying to get us down the road. And I'm holding the bottom of the wheel, leaned over, and my son's ducked down into the floorboard. The guy in the back's ducked down to the floorboard, and we're driving past. And I feel my arm get hit, and it hits me like that. Well, then I sit up a little bit because I'm like, well, I'm not staying in the same spot. And then my arm fell. So my arm falls. Right there is where I ended up getting shot. You can see it right there, that little scar. It went through my arm, and then it shattered my bone up here into a bunch of pieces, and they pulled the bullet out right there. And I could touch it. Whenever I got to the hospital, I could still touch it. If it didn't shatter the bone, it would have taken me out. Even still. And I look over and I'm still driving, and I knew I was hit, and I'm just kind of driving. My son and everybody, we get in the shot stop, and I look at him and I was like, "You all right?" And I looked at his friend. I was like, "You okay? Anybody hit?" And I was looking at him there. "I'm fine. I'm fine." I was like, "You sure?" Like, "All right." My son's like, "What about you?" I was like, "I'm hit." And he goes, "What?" And I was like, "I'm shot, Brian." And he's like, "Oh my God, oh my God." I was like, "Hold the wheel." Because I needed to see it still. Because when I tried to take my arm and do this, it went like that. So I was like, "Oh, I'm in trouble." So I knew something was real bad at that point. And so I have the wheel like this. I'm holding at the bottom. And I said, "Grab the wheel." When he grabs the wheel, I picked my arm up like this. And I looked at it and I was like, "Ooh." And it was, I wasn't thinking tourniquet. I wasn't thinking anything like that. But you ever see, it's not like people, it wasn't a trickle or anything like that, but it wasn't like spurting or anything like that, like you see arteries, stuff like that. But it came out like a water faucet. And I mean, it was just steady running out of my arm. I was like, that's a lot of blood.
Oh, man.
So at that point, I'm like, well, it's time to live or die now, because even if blood loss or anything. And my son's like, "Pull over, Dad. I'll drive." And I was like, "No, I'll get us there faster." So I just sat my arm there, and I was watching my shorts just get covered in blood. The blood just kept going on the shorts, and I'm just driving, hit 90 to nothing, getting to the hospital. And I got to the hospital, pulled up into the parking lot, and he's like, "Dad, I'll park the car." And I'm like, "You can do that." And I got out, and as I got out, I picked my arm up, and he says, he was like, it was freaky. He goes, "Dad, you didn't make a sound." He goes, "I didn't know you were shot until you told me you were shot." He goes, "Then you just drove." He goes, "You didn't make a sound. You were just sitting there looking, and you got to the hospital, and that's all I ever heard." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, it was live or die at that point. You know what I mean? Like, how are we gonna live? Here we're gonna live. All right. And he was like, "Dude, you didn't make a sound when you got hit." I was like, "What am I supposed to do? Scream and cry? Oh my God, I'm shot." I was like, "It's time to go. We got to get to the hospital." And so I got there, and I remember walking in, and they were like, "Bubba, what are you doing here?" I was like, "Well, I'm shot." They looked at me for real, and I kind of showed them my arm. I was like, "Yeah." And then I told them, because at that point, I guess I had finally, the adrenaline wore off, everything like that. Pain started setting in because I realized, I was like, I'm at the hospital. I'm all right. It's far from my heart. I'm going to live. And man, I was like, whoa. I was like, well, now I'm going to pass out. And all of a sudden, I'm like squatted down and everything. And they brought me a chair, and I remember just my head going back. Yeah, so it was kind of wild. It was kind of wild. Got back to the back. They shot me up with fentanyl a couple of times, and I remember a little bit after they're taking X-rays and all that, and I'm just yelling, out of pain building up. I'm like, ah, and the nurses were like, "You got to stop that." I'm like, "Well, would you rather me sit and scream the whole time?" And I told them, I said, "What have y'all gave me?" I was like, "Dude, this whatever you gave me isn't anything. It doesn't done nothing." And they were like, "Well, we hit you with fentanyl twice." I was like, "Yeah, get something different." And all of a sudden, they hit me with some ketamine. And I remember just feeling the warmth go in my arm. And at that point, I told him, I said, "I'm going to sleep." So I had wild hallucinations and everything at that point, and they said the police were in and out of the room because I was going crazy. And but other than that, yeah, that was kind of what it came down to. The guy got picked up the next day because he went and ran after that. Made up a story that I came by shooting at him first. And I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. You got to try to defend yourself and get off any way you can. But that's how it
At
went.
least you had the video. At least you had the video at that point.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. And like I guess all the other videos of everything, like, because they ended up like I don't like to talk to the police and everything like that. I don't like talking to that. But whenever they ask me what I did, they're like, yeah, that's what the videos show. And I'm like, the videos? I guess they went and got other home videos from other people on rings and everything else like that.
There you go.
Corroborate my story and everything. I'm like, all right, it's the only time it really worked out in my favor, and I still got shot. But it is what it
Yeah, I
is.
mean,
But yeah, getting that arm back to normal was a big deal for me, and it's still one of those, like, I feel it push out here and there, but I don't have the snap on it that I used to. But it's one of those things too, though. In your own mind, you go, how much do I have still in there? How much am I going to be able to do anymore? Like, I'm a lesser man these days. Like, my arm is not able to do things that it used to do. Like, I can't grip, I can't rope climb, I can't do a whole lot of stuff at different times. At other times, it feels strong. Just
I know
really,
you feel. I tore my bicep when I was working for UPS at like the end of 2000. They didn't believe me, so like 6 months go by, dude. I got a scar that goes from here all the way up because the muscle completely retracted. And like you're
yeah,
sitting there saying, like sometimes it feels strong, it feels fine, or sometimes it's just like, oh, all right, let me try to put the weight on my left arm more than my right arm because it's not the same what it used to. Like, regardless of the
yeah.
muscle damage, nerve damage, whatever it is, it's just it ain't the same. But it's not like it's completely useless or anything like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. But and then at that too, though, our view upon ourselves, our own self esteem, and what I'm able to do and things like that is in question at that point. So there was the thing is, I thought, well, I'll never be able to do this again. Well, then a couple months later, I'm like, I'm coming along pretty well, and I'm doing pretty good. I didn't realize how bad it was until I saw it in like March after that, because that happened in September. And come March, they were like, man, you should have never been doing the things you're doing. Because I started, after they took cast off, I was doing push ups on my right arm with like using my left arm out wide just to kind of touch it. And then when I found out how bad it was over time and everything, I was like, yeah, that was really dumb. So, but it's a thing with us, the fighter mentality and everything is like, I got to get back to it. I got to be the man I was the best I can, at least. And so I'm about to be 42 on the 3rd, and it's just kind of, what are you gonna do to keep yourself in the game? What are you gonna do to prove to yourself that you can still handle what you need to? So what's up on there? What's up for you?
That's our guy Pensman. He's always either on the network or doing his own thing. I had to make sure to throw him up there because he's
Right on.
he's always commenting. These guys are crazy over here. I love it. And speaking
Well,
of
Mr.
crazy,
Pesman, it's nice to see you on there then.
What's that?
I said, Mr. Pesman, it's nice to see you on there then.
Sir, yes, sir. So, wanted to kind of touch on this. Obviously, we were just talking about your situation and stuff like that. Cain Velasquez obviously is kind of the bigger case in this one. For people who haven't heard, like, his family member was being assaulted in a way that no one wants to have a family member assaulted. Cain did what any good family member father would do is went and handled his business, and went on the chase. Shot the guy's done some of his time, is going to be doing more time. But I don't know if you've heard this, but I just came across that apparently the family is now demanding $1 million in damages from the Velasquez family. This is getting crazy at this point in
I mean,
time.
I give him $1 million worth of ass whooping myself for Cain at that point. Like, that's crap. I'm a father of a child that was murdered. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, I'm a murdered. My son was 2 years old when he was murdered, and came from another person as such. And I view child predators and child pedos and everything else all in the same light. Every one of you need to be exterminated off
Yeah,
the face of this earth. So that father going and being able to do that, that's his right, in my opinion. That's his right to be able to take you out. And anybody who's defending you, riding with you at that point, you're also fair game because you're condoning this at that point. And that's exactly how I feel, and I'll never change my feelings upon it. There are people that still support the man that murdered my son. His appeal was granted not too long ago because of some police stuff that went wrong and everything. And there are still people giving money to this man, knowing that he murdered my son, to try to help him be free. You're all trash human beings, and every one of you should be exterminated off this earth for the betterment of the world. Cain
Yeah.
Velasquez was doing the work that every man wants to do. And I'm going to tell you like this. I wanted to do, the police took my choices from me a couple of times. I had divine intervention to be where I'm at right now still and not behind bars myself. And I was just like, oh, I wish I'd have done that. Oh, I wish my family would have suffered more, things as such. I'm out here. I've had a lot of things I've had to do, so it played better in my favor. But it's always the want of somebody who has been the victim, or you have to watch your child be victimized as such, that's what you're supposed to do. That's how it's supposed to go. That's the way it should be. And I don't, I have no bad ill will for anything that Cain Velasquez did. They're like, oh, he was endangering other people. Those other people knew where they were and who they were with, and yeah, maybe it was going down the road and as such and things like that. I think those people, once they figured out what it was too, though, might have helped him. You know what I mean? If it came down to that. And I know if it was somebody like me, I'm more Batman vigilante justice than a lot of people believe too at that point. Let's go get this dude. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you already on it? Let's ride. You know what I mean? Like, let's do that. And
I'll say this much. I'll say this much. Joe Rogan said that the world would have been a better place if Cain just did what he did. Obviously, being in it's the California penal system, and they were already trying to get life out of Cain Velasquez at that point in time. Joe ain't wrong. Joe's not wrong. I mean, the fact that this guy's out on bond, sitting at home with his stepdad and stuff like this, while Cain Velasquez is in jail, is just to show the sham of what our judicial system is. And people can call it vigilantism and stuff like that. Listen, when our judicial system fails on every front, you create people like that. You create people who want to go and do that. For police stuff to be allowing the guy that murdered your son to allow, like the fact that there should be flat out bounty hunters when it comes to the people like this.
I've always said the brute squad. There needs to be a brute squad.
Yeah.
There needs to be a brute squad, and it's just insane. And here's the thing too, though. And I know you've heard this probably a million other times. It says what's right is not always lawful, and what's lawful is not always right. And that's the biggest thing I stand on at that point. And they call you an outlaw, they call you all these things. I'll stand on outlaw if that's what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's the way what's right with the world. And don't get me wrong, I've been wrong a lot in my life too, though. And there are things that I need to pay for, and I have to. I'll be judged on upon my days when I meet God also. But at the same time, I don't go after children. I don't go after anything as such. I'm not a rapist. I'm not doing these things. The things that I'm doing, you brought upon yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're a person that's been out robbing people. You've been taking advantage of people on the stuff and everything like that. I'm okay with every bit of that. You know what I mean? And there's things, like I say, that I'll have to atone for eventually in my life and whenever I get to the other side. But these are things that I'm okay with. That, like I say, I'm a changing person, trying to find God as such with everything that's going on in my life. Last year and a half has been the best part of my life, and it's because I found God. But I still have a lot of me in me.
Yeah, we still always
everybody's explained that
within us, right?
Still got that fire. We're works in progress.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we're not perfect, man. We're not perfect, man. We're all flawed to a point, and we could do better in so many different areas. The only good thing I did see out of this, I don't know if you've seen this. Platinum Mike Perry obviously offered Cain a contract with when he I
have not seen that. That is awesome.
And listen, people can say what they want about Mike, but like he gets it right 9 times out of 10, man. I mean, that's well,
here's the thing too. He's a guy that stands on his own business too, though, and he's made his way by his own hands, So there's nothing that I can really say against that guy about a lot of things. Like even the Lubbock situation. Like I'm right down here in Texas. When the Lubbock situation happened, there's a couple of people that I know through the grapevine that were there when all that happened, and every one of them said Mike was in the right for the start of everything, the way it was going, and that guy should have minded his business, and it's just a public thing. Whenever all that went down, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I did. A lot of people are mad at him for it. Oh, you shouldn't have done that to that guy. Well, then tell that guy to stay in there and mind his business. You know what I mean? If something needs to be done, call somebody else about it. If you don't want to get in the paint and take the chance of something happening to you, don't do anything.
That's like the Joe Schilling video, the dude at the bar sitting there trying to like bump him and stuff like that. Your attitude's gonna write checks. You better make sure you can cash them.
Well, and here's my thing about the Joe Schilling thing is you see this guy bumping and doing his thing and all that. You get what I'm saying? And he's been tough guy and he is the life of the party and he wants to be center of attention. He's trying to take home the hottest girl that night. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You're that guy right there.
Yeah.
But you're in the center of an aisle. The guy moves you out of the way. Honestly, it's one of those like you deserve to be moved out of the way. You're literally blocking the flow of traffic no matter what. Wasn't much traffic, but if there was, somebody would have moved him earlier anyway. It was just Joe that did it. So whenever you get a little touch on the back as a person like that in the environment you're in, and that guy's already been puffed up, tough guy.
You should just let it be moved. All right, go upon your day, buddy. I'm jamming away.
Right. You've already been puffed up, and everybody's seen it. You're puffed up. You're ready to go. Things like that. How are you supposed to not go? This guy's going to try to stay the top guy in there. That's a thing that was going on already. So if Joe turns around and this guy does a little bump at that point, a bump, you're already too close to me anyway. Like when I get touched and I turn around and we are face to face, you're too close to me anyway to make any sudden movements. And that's just the way it is with anybody that I know that has been around. I bounced for 10 years. Every fight that goes down like that, as such, if you're this close, I expect y'all to be swinging already. I'm going to go in. It's my job to be in between you at that point or something like that to break it up as fast as I can. But if you're close enough to touch each other, I expect you to be touching each other. That's just the way that man stuff works. And if that guy was not ready for that, that's his fault. That's not Joe's fault. So
I agree. I totally agree with that one.
Yeah.
Oh man, the things that we have to deal with in life, my friend.
Well, and that's the thing too, though, is you see how many people are not used to those type situations. You see how many people have never encountered that type situation, especially with the commenting you see. Oh, he already knew he was that guy. He already knew that he was going to beat him up. He knew he could do this. Well, of course, then why test it? Why test this guy?
Exactly.
Why do you get to go, oh, I talked shit to Joe Schilling at the bar. He didn't do nothing, man. That dude's a punk. Da, da, da. You get to run around your whole life talking about how cool you were that you punked him. Well, now you get to run around the rest of your life going, I'm the guy that got knocked out because I tried to pick the wrong one. And everybody's mad at Joe. I'm not.
Anyone who's involved in the combat sports world on any type of level ain't mad at him at all. But
Right.
Here's another one. We're gonna see if this kid can back it up. I don't know if you've seen this. Former Philadelphia 76er Michael Carter Williams is now going to be getting involved in some boxing.
Really?
Yeah.
See, here's the thing too about that. These people that are professional athletes are still athletes. They're very good athletes. I'm always wondering how it transfers from one thing to another. Some people got hands, some people don't.
Yeah.
You got people that, like I say, they're super athletes. Whenever you're at that level of professionalism, you've dedicated your life to something as such. You want to try to transition to something else. I expect that same dedication from people like that. I want to see how it goes. You know what I mean? I haven't heard anything about it. Don't even know who the guy is, things like that. But I respect another professional athlete.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Carter Williams was a rookie of the year at one point in time. I think he was last in the NBA, like the end of the 2023 season. So it's not like he's so far off. And like, listen, like you're sitting there saying, we hear this all the time. Oh, can basketball players play in football? Can this athlete do this and that? Like, isn't this what we ultimately want to see at some point in time? Like, all right, maybe you're not the athlete you once were in this sport, but you see it a lot of times where guys come over to other sports and stuff like that. I mean, we very rarely see it in combat sports, but it's not any less intriguing for that matter. I mean, hell, we've seen Frank Gore get in there and try to do some boxing. We've seen former NFL athletes do either celebrity boxing or other type of things like that. So it's not a far-fetched thing to kind of see stuff like that.
I mean, even Adrian Peterson got in a box. You know what I mean? So
Adrian Peterson hit the news this weekend on some on some
oh,
fluffy.
did he?
He apparently he was leaving one of these draft parties and he blew up 1.4 in a
Oh
state that's
no.
0.8. So yeah, he's not doing too good right now.
Can I talk about some drinking and driving things real
Yeah,
fast?
go ahead, brother.
Okay, so here within the last 6 months, I have had here's the thing. Throughout my life, I've had a lot of people that have drank and drive, things like that. And we've done it. I've done it myself as such. I'm going to say, though, here recently, I have had more friends go into prison for their third, fourth DWIs. And I have two others within the last 6 months that are both doing long term sentences. One got 100 years, the other one got life for killing people in drunk driving accidents. And these are people that I care about,
Mm-hmm.
and they're killing people because they can't take care of themselves to call an Uber or call a friend or somebody else as such to get yourself somewhere sober, to get yourself somewhere safely to where you're not going to hurt other individuals also. I find it now being an older person and realizing how bad that is. I find it very disturbing that people are still my age and still doing these things. I understand children are going to be children as such, and I say children in your 20s and things like that. You don't take
Yeah.
it personal, but it's just one of those things. You're partying as such. Please make better choices. That way, it leads into a life where you don't have to deal with these things. Like I said, I have within the last 6 months, two friends go for one for 100 years and one for life, and it's a very devastating thing to sit there and watch a judge take these people and tell them you're doing life because they killed somebody else. And don't get me wrong, there's other times that other people get lesser sentences, things like that. I'm not saying everybody's going to get life, but at the same time, you take a life. These people that have done that also no longer want to drink, no longer want to have those kind of things hanging over their head. They wish the other families would take their life for them so they didn't have to live with that guilt. You know, things that happen because of that, and as such, are terrible. And it's a hard thing that I don't think is ever going to leave the world. But the better choices you make, the more often you make better choices, the better this world will be off also. And that's just one of those things that, like I say, I wish people would make better choices. It's not always going to happen, but man, it's a big one.
Yeah, I mean we've seen more than a handful of NFL players kind of lose their careers, things like that. Henry Ruggs the third. We've seen what happened in Vegas a few years ago, and he's still currently doing time. Like we've seen situations, guys maybe not drinking but drag racing, but like we're already talking about, we're at an age now. Like when we were younger, when we were kids and stuff like that, pulling stuff. There was no such things as Ubers, Lyfts, or anything like that. You try to call one of your friends that was like the sober buddy in your crew, like, dude, come help me out, bro.
Right.
I can't do this. I had a friend who used to come around all the time. Till one morning, I turned on the news. Guess what? He crashed his bike into a pole.
Yeah. And
Facts.
that's
He
hard
didn't hurt
facts.
anyone or anything like that. But it was one of those things like drunk driving, alcoholism, stuff like that. It's something I was experienced when I was young because my father was an alcoholic, and like it was one of those things. Like I would drink, but I would just have a beer or two, and I'd cut myself off after a period of time. Just be like, nope, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that person.
It's sad that you have to have traumas in your life from things like that to make those real changes normally. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, these are traumatic events. I've watched other people, like you were saying, on bikes, they go kill themselves and things like that. It's just because we've all been at clubhouses, we're all riding the bikes, we're all doing these things, but you don't know if it's your turn to go down or not. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you go down while you're drunk and things like that, like it's usually bad. Usually bad.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I don't know if you've seen this one, man, but BJ Penn, man, he's going through something right now, and
That's
I don't know,
scary. That's
like,
scary. I fear
the stuff
for
that
everybody
I've seen him
involved.
post out, the videos and stuff like that. Some of it, like people are like, "Oh, well, he has CTE." I'm like, "Hey, we don't know if he has CTE yet, guys. You don't know if this is him trying to cry out for help or whatever." But like, he's vehemently denying that the people that are around him are his family members. So
Right, which is scary. That is scary. And here's the thing too about CTE. I have people I hear people all the time claim I've got CTE or I probably got CTE and things like that. Yeah, it's not that I'm telling you you don't, but I'm telling you you can't confirm that till you're dead. So stop using it as an excuse or a crutch. But at the same time, it's a real thing
Yeah.
for certain people. You've got normal guys that I boxed for a year. I probably got CTE. No, you don't. This is something different. You know what I mean? Like there are people doing that, and I see it, and I kind of laugh. I'm like, you guys are making a mockery of something that is real. Could it be BJ Penn has CT? Absolutely. It can we confirm that? We're not going to be able to until it's over, and that's sad.
Yeah.
But it's a scary situation right now for his family. How would you feel if your brother or your son or somebody else is saying that's not them? This is not them. Check this out and everything. And I mean, just fully on one to try to get you. It feels like, and it seems like he's like, I'm going to get them. Yeah, real scary to me. That's a real scary situation.
Yeah, it is. One, I hope no one is hurt. I'm just gonna,
Right?
yeah, because
Exactly.
BJ is more than capable of just with his hands alone. Because I don't know if you heard, like he had a situation. So some kid was putting his hands on his daughter, and BJ BJ turned his lights out, as rightfully so.
Yeah,
Anyone put their hand on my daughter? Guess what? I might be doing a few months in jail because you put your hands on my daughter, dude. It's just the way it's
I
gonna be.
understand. I understand. Yeah,
So,
I
I mean,
understand.
it's one of those things where you just, regardless if BJ's right or if he's sick, I hope no one's hurt.
Right, exactly. Yeah, nobody needs to get hurt. And the thing is, too, though, is does he need help? You know what I mean? Like he's even if it's at a point where he's not crying out for help, someone needs to start helping him. So
And we don't see that too much in the combat sports world, too. And speaking of helping, I came across this one too. I had to ask you about this one. GSP had kind of made an offer to Nate Diaz because obviously, he was trying to have a fight, and there were some situations like if the GSP was like, listen, if there's any way that we can make some money together, promote something, whatever, like let's get together, let's do some things, and let's make some money together, and everyone wins, right?
well, and here's the thing too, though. Nick Diaz is a pioneer of the sport that quit while he was still on top. Tried to make some comebacks because it seems like it's financial to me for him,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of things that go on. Like you fight demons as such. Like he has demons that are like that. I
Yeah.
I don't know those woes as deep as that, like that are keep me down every day. Like I tell people all the time, I became stronger. I'm a survivor when everything took me down, and I had push for things. His push for a while was Nate. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Nick Diaz army. Nate was the front runner, everything like that. He was still okay. He could battle that. Now everybody's slowing down. Everything's kind of coming off. They don't have as much going on and such. Those things start eating at you. You know what I mean? Like once you're not goal oriented as such, you're a person like him that has those issues coming about. Like it's you start battling demons. Well, then demons make you self destruct, everything else as such, and people around you that know that you've been a gifted person, you've gave gifts to other people, you've been a big part of this sport. It seems like they're trying to be like, hey man, thank you for being you. Let me help you. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing. GSP has always proven that he's a good human at the end of the day. He's always proven he's a good human. And that's just another way to prove that right there because he doesn't owe Nick anything, but he wants to help him. And that's a good thing. Like if he's in a position to help him, good, help him. There's other people that just can but don't care to. And that's sad the way the world is, but you can't help everybody also, sadly,
Yeah.
too. It's it's a way of the fighting world though. It's
Mm-hmm.
a way of the fighting world. Some of us are gonna lose big. We won big, we're gonna lose big also.
Yeah.
And that's a sad part of the world, but ours is more publicized also than other people that have never done big time anythings. And they still battle the same demons. You see them on a corner under a bridge eventually.
Yeah. And then this is getting to the dark side of our sport because obviously the
Correct.
GFL scam is kind of been out there in the forefront. You know, we've seen some fighters kind of make some posts. We've seen former UFC fighter who was their big guy that was just calling them out.
Give me lying to you, but I do know what you're talking about with the two canceled events and said a sponsor didn't come through to pay the money and
Well,
yeah,
my big thing is
everything.
what he did after the fact. Like he's going to message these guys like, "Hey, how about you fight
Fight
and
for
I not
free, yeah.
pay you, and then like I just give you equity in the no, bro, no,
No, that doesn't
no,
work that way. No, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. Even here's the thing too. Even if you're on the Ultimate Fighter, you don't get a fight purse for fighting there, but you're getting paid for the week. You get the
yeah,
weekly pay for being there for filming a TV show. You know what I mean? Things like that. You're still being compensated. Everybody wants compensation. You know what I
mm,
mean? Everybody that he was talking to like that has already got a name. What else are you going to do for them? You know what I mean?
yeah. Like
For them to want to fight for you for free when you've
Yeah,
already canceled events that said your promoters aren't coming through, your sponsors aren't coming through. That doesn't give me real good vibes to go, yeah, I'll do that for you. Why would you think that that would work? You know, and like you were saying, it's coming down to it's going to be a Logan Paul what his cryptocurrency thing coming back around. You know, like that's gonna what it's gonna end up being.
I'm glad you brought up the Paul brothers because that literally going to my next. And you see the freaking post of the MVP had posted out. They posted this thing about boxing's Mount Rushmore. Here it is. And they put Jake on it. In what world do we live in? Is Jake Paul the Mount Rushmore of anything besides being a buffoon at this point in time? Like, listen,
I mean, here's my thing. They're trying to legitimize his fight against Mike Tyson. That is not a legitimate fight. You
we
fought a
all know
man that is too far gone. Your best fight that you had was what was the one before the Mike Tyson fight? I'm sorry. Who was I trying to think?
was it
Mike
Anderson
Perry. That
Silva?
was your best. That was your best performance was against Mike Perry. You get
And
what I'm
that's
saying?
another
Your best
thing. The
performance
guy is
against
two
Mike
weight
Perry. Mike
classes down.
Perry is not a boxer. Mike Perry is a brawler, fighter, as such. I guarantee you go to that dirty boxing that Mike has right there. Jake's in a whole bad world right there. He's in a bad world. Now, that's just the thing too, is styles make matchups.
Mm-hmm.
When you box and you've only boxed for so many years, and that's the only thing you've done, and you focus on it, yes, you become a good boxer. When you're a guy that's still kickboxing, doing MMA, doing bare knuckle, you know, as such, moving around and you're doing different styles of fighting and you have to jump over, you're going to look terrible. It just is what it is. That's why a lot of us MMA guys that go over, we box, but we kickbox mostly. You know, we do MMA. It's combination of things. We're watching for a takedown. You're watching for a kick. You're watching for an elbow. Everything else to go along with that. So we have a lot of different head movements that are made. Hands are in different positions as such. It's the science of it. You're not really up to the level on the science of it when you try to jump into boxing as such. I have basics told to me every day that I train. Why is your right hand slipping again? Well, it's going to my normal position. I've done this for 20 years. My hand's been here, and I'm still trying to pull it back. You know what I mean? It's hard to get retrained. And I'm not going to be able to be retrained in a short amount of time. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm retraining things. It just, you know how it is. We're animals
Habits.
and
Bad
athletes.
habits.
Yes, creatures of habit. Once I get comfortable again, habits are going to come back out. So, you know,
It's I'll say this. Like, listen, I respect that he's cutting his teeth against guys that have names that have been in the sport and stuff like that. Eventually, he's gonna have to get in there with a guy his age, guy his weight class. The weight class is the biggest thing to me because he hasn't fought
the
in a
weight
year.
class is terrible. It's a terrible thing. He fights littler guys, period. He just fights littler guys. He does not fight anybody that's going to be his size. Just like the Cesar Chavez Jr. thing. Did you see that when he fought Uriah Hall? See how bad he looked in shape like that when they fought at what is it 195 or something like that.
Yeah.
He looked absolutely terrible shape.
And
In
Jake's gonna put
terrible shape.
and Jake's gonna do the
Yeah,
same.
exactly. But at the same time, like Chavez Jr. didn't even look like Chavez Jr. You know what I mean? That he did when he was 20 pounds lighter. Fighting. It's a travesty about to happen again. Don't get me wrong. The world's gonna watch because they were hoping that Cesar Chavez Jr. is gonna knock him out. But I mean, we can all cross
I'll
our
say this
fingers. I
much.
don't see it happening.
I'll say this much. I absolutely love her, but the thing that gives him the credibility that he has right now is Amanda Serrano.
Okay, Serrano's good.
Like
You can't. You
she's
can't. I was upset that they didn't give her the last time that she
I
fought
know, man. That
against.
was listen, the
That was
cut, the
terrible.
heart, how she fought after the cut. I like listen, she regardless of that decision, she's a multiple time world champion. She's in my opinion, the most active and baddest woman on the planet in boxing. Clarissa Shields is an amazing fighter. They're in way different weight classes. They'll never fight or anything like that. And I get mad when people like they were fighting over the moniker GWOAT a few weeks ago. And I'm like, listen, y'all are in different weight classes. You can't be the greatest of all time in combat sports when you have different eras, different weight classes, all that stuff. You can't sit there and act like I own the nickname GWOAT here. Like Clarissa's great, but Amanda Serrano is absolutely amazing. She's one of the most down to earth people in the world, and Jake Paul is so lucky to have that woman in his corner, backing him up, fighting back, putting out fires that she didn't start. Like she's amazing on every level, and I cannot wait to see this rematch with them.
Oh, I'll agree. Yeah, Serrano, she got robbed real bad in that last
Yeah.
fight, in my opinion. That
Mhm.
was terrible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one to take away from was it Katie? I wasn't taking away from Katie at all. She's a fantastic fighter too. That was just not her night, and they
Mm-mm.
gave it to her. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Mhm. It's one of those ones where like, man, well,
Yeah.
this is when we sit there like, what can we do about judging? What can we do about like, listen, sometimes you got three blind mice on next to the ring, next to the cage, etc., and you have to overcome them. And this is why I think no matter what in combat sports, you should have open scoring. Period.
Here's the thing too, though. Oklahoma is running into that also. Oklahoma judging right now is terrible. You go to Oklahoma, anything that's MMA, anything as such that I've watched of the scoring, things like that. Like I have been utterly disgusted at how it's going over there. And don't get me wrong, I have always loved the people in Oklahoma on the panels and things like that. But here lately, since old Joe got out of there and it was taken over by someone else, it went down for a while. I'm hoping that they bounce back and get better qualifications for people judging and things like that on the commission down there because it's taking a toll on some of the fights that are being judged unfairly and by people that are unqualified to even judge a boxing match. If you're a hairdresser and you get asked to come judge a fight, that's not right. That's not supposed to happen.
No, and that's absolutely commissioning based. Like you're letting your friend come in maybe because you want to have them there ringside and interact with them while you're doing your job or whatever. Like, listen,
Correct.
there either needs to be like dedicated fans who literally like live and die with the sport would probably be better judges than Joanne down at the hair cuttery.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I say, I'm not trying to talk crap, but I'm saying
No,
please
I
change
know,
it.
I
I'm
know.
saying please change it, make it legitimate there. Please, for everybody's sake, because it's been tragic the last about year or so.
Yeah. It's one of the things I think they need to fix. Now, want to get back into some other parts of the combat sports. Now, you fought in this year, man. I seen this other day. You were doing some. What is this, man? Here, I pulled the clip. You put.
All right. So this guy named, and he'll be back here in May. That's the funny part. I'll be judging for him in May now. This
There you
guy, that's a YouTube guy, is getting a hold of everybody. He's like, who's the best boxer in Wichita Falls? And meet us out here at Bridwell Park. And they're doing backyard boxing and stuff like that. And I'm just like, my son calls me up because my son's going to do it. And I'm like, son, I said, I need to go test my arm. And that's what I was saying. Got to see how I feel here. I said, I got to go test this, see what's going on. So he gets a hold of the guy, and the guy gets a hold of his manager, and it's like, "Yeah, tell your dad to just come and sign the waiver." So I remember walking out there, and I walk up, my son and everybody else in that, and I sit my bag down and I start putting boots on. And they're like, everybody's looking around like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm a fight." And they were like, "For real?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fight today." And there was about half of them there that knew me was all like, "I ain't doing this no more." Yeah. But the bad part is too, though, is I tell everybody, I said, boxing is my worst sport. Of combat sports, I can do MMA, I can kickbox, I can do jiu-jitsu, all of them way better than I can just box. And it got down to the point where, people, we walk out there and it was one of those like, what's your weight? What's your weight? And they matched everybody up weights for the first round. And I went out there and obviously that's what happened. Everybody got to see it. And they were only doing 90-second goes though. So that was the bad part too. I was like, why not do it like doghouse rules? I was like, so we could sit there and go till somebody's done. You know what I mean? Like they were like, oh, you know how long that'll take? Because there ended up being like 20 fighters that showed up that actually still signed up and got in there. And after I knocked that guy out, I had half of the other fighters walk up and go, "Man, you better not do that to me." Like, "Hey, I'm not going to fight. Like, I'm not going to fight if you're going to come up there like that." And then I had girlfriends even. My boyfriend's over there. Don't do him like that. And I'm just like, all right. But then I'll say this too, though.
Promise you
Yeah.
nothing, lady.
Yeah. There was two, like I say, my son was involved because they did the one tournament. They were going to get down to one person. There was one guy that was my son, and there was another one that I trained with that is a kid out there that ended up winning it that day. And I told that guy that did it, I said, if it comes up to where I fight either one of them, I was like, I'm going to bail out on it anyway. About 3 hours into it, they're finally hitting the second rounds and everything. And my mom called because she had my littlest one. He was 2 years old. He just turned 3 the other day. And he's 2 years old. My mom, she's like, we're ready to go home. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to come get him. So I went and got my son. I was like, I'm out, y'all. Like, just kind of let it go at that point. But yeah, I had a good time with it. And then I got a call. You know how I went. I got a call from a couple guys who were like, we can get you a contract. And I was like, if you can get it. I mean, I'd like to fight again. And here we are. BKB's like, we'll sign you. I was okay. I'll fight for you.
That goes into the next one, right? So we talk about UFC, we talk about boxing. Is bare knuckle boxing, regardless if we're talking BKFC, BYB, is that the next big thing in combat sports? Because over the last few years, it seems like bare knuckle is absolutely kicking the UFC in the teeth, in my opinion.
Here's my thing though, is I don't believe that you can have a long career in that if that's what you're starting with. If you start off with a combat career of boxing, you start off with MMA, you're a kickboxer, things like that, and you transition into it, I think it's a good finisher for your career. I think it's a good thing as such like that. I think it's something that you can do and have a good time with. But the damage and the punishment that you're going to take immediately in those sports and that sport right there it's high damage, high damage. You don't get to leave without hurt. You know what I mean? Sometimes in an MMA fight, you can go in, go out, not be hurt. Yeah, sometimes you go out there in a boxing match, you get out there, you throw a few as such, things happen, you work it out, your hands don't hurt, nothing like that. Bare knuckle, your hands hurt, your face hurts, your body hurts, everything hurts. And it's taking more lacerations and things like that. And we see how it is. The more times you get cut, the more scar tissue come up, things like that. It's going to be detrimental to anything else you want to do. So I would say BKFC and BYB and BKB are a good thing for everybody that's already proved you're a tough guy and still want to be a part of it. Because like I say, I have back injuries that don't let me grapple. They don't let me grapple. But if I grapple, I'm hurting walking for the next few days. It's hard on me. So I like to do it still, but I don't get to do it very often because of the pain levels that come in the next few days. I can train to box.
Doing any grappling tournaments anytime soon.
Well, and here's the thing: you might see me go do one, but it would be out of shape. It would be at the weight I'm at, and it would be that day only. I wouldn't be able to do like, oh, we're gonna do gi today and no gi tomorrow. That's never gonna happen for me. It's never going to be able to happen for me. And then at that, like I was saying, it's going to be a hard thing. And I was supposed to get my second degree on my black belt in January. I just didn't accept it yet, anything as such. And I guess I'm being told to show up in October is what I heard through the grapevine.
I guess you're going to have to get your stripe put on, my friend.
Right. You get what I'm saying? But it's one of those, like, I don't feel like I'm earning it anymore as the way I did when I was younger. Like when I was younger, I earned everything that I was ever given. Right now, they're kind of like, man, you've put in the work so many years of that. Just take what you being given. And I'm like, because I tell people too about Ensign Inouye, or it was Egan. I think it was Egan. It might have been Egan in a way that demoted himself to purple belt after being a black belt. Because he was like, my skills aren't up to par anymore. I dig that. I dig that mentality. It's like this is what I've earned. This is what I'm at. I'm not just one of those guys that I show up to the grappling and I can't tap out a purple belt anymore. But you're going to give me another stripe on a black belt. Obviously, I'm exaggerating right there. I can still do the
Yeah, I know
thing,
what you. I know what you mean.
but you get what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be 70 years old and competing against guys that are blue and purple belts and not being able to do things and still get another jump up. Like it doesn't work that way to me.
It's interesting. I mean, when you see like the damage some of the just the grapplers wind up having in their bodies over their careers. I mean, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you as you said, like sometimes you're consistently in the gym and you're grinding. Regardless if you're what belt level you're submitting, like you're going through the round sometimes just because people are going after you. Just seen it took what was it? Laura Sanko just got her black belt. She's been doing jiu-jitsu for 19 years.
That's just cool.
Obviously, she
It's just
hasn't been
cool.
as active in the gym and things of that nature, considering she's been doing mostly commentary for
Commentating.
the
Yep.
UFC over the last few years and things of that nature. And she's retired. I think it's almost 10 years now.
Yeah. It's a long time. Yeah, it was a long time. What was she like, 2 and 3 or something like that?
Yeah, she wasn't there that long.
But I mean, she put in her work. She put
Yeah,
in
she put
work.
it in
You
work,
know what
but
I
hey,
mean?
like, hats off to her to be like, you know what, like I've I've made my my notches in my belt. I've made it to the highest level. Yeah, I may not be a world champion. I may not be elite, but I have a company that cares about me. They want to put me behind the mic. They want me to do this, that, and the third.
Yep.
If it makes
Yeah.
dollars, it makes sense.
100% respect.
Right?
Yeah. Gotta respect that. Gotta respect it.
You got to know when to walk away sometimes, and when, like, you know what, I'm out of my depth here. Maybe it is a smart idea to kind of go behind the microphone.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, though, is it's anybody who is doing these things and makes those choices, it's got to be something that you still just have the urge and the want for. I mean, you see me, I'm not in any limelight. I have nothing. I go to small regional shows most of the time, things like that, staying in that realm, and I yearn for the want to be able to get in there and be like I was in my 20s and early 30s. You know what I mean? I'm only about to be 42, but I know the body. Just I remember the change about halfway through 30, being like something's wrong. Something's wrong. Then
Be like,
35
I'm
was
not
like, oh,
21
this
no
is
more. Why am I not recovering like I normally do?
right, right. Yeah, like I say, 35 was like, oh, this is over. Oh, it's over.
You
So.
sneeze the wrong way, your back's tweaked for like a month.
Oh yeah, that was the bad part too. Is it started happening in my later 20s? I could get stuff like that, but it was one of those like the recovery time was only 4 or 5 days, compared to 2 3 weeks. Of
Yeah.
I can't move right, I can't move right.
It's like
So
the Rocky movie when him and Coach are talking about the things he can't do anymore to get
right,
ready for the fight. Like, all right, you
yeah,
got calcium deposits, your knees are bad, you can't do any hard running anymore.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's like that. It really is. So like I say, I'm about to be 42, like I tell people all the time, and I've been in combat sports. I did my first tough man contest, walked into the freaking arena in '02. You know what I mean? And it's just I was 19 years old. I'm 20 some years into this, and it's still just one of those things that I just can't stop. But at the same time, I can't do it at the level I used to. But
Yeah.
still try. You still try.
I got a few more for you. We already seen Phil, aka Mr. CM Punk, get in there. Apparently, Seth Rollins don't like him to the point where he actually is trying to get a fight put together between Seth and CM Punk. Is that something that would interest you? Like,
It would
obviously,
entertain me. It would definitely entertain me because I am at that point now where I'm watching wrestling again. I started about 6 months ago. When they hit Netflix and they had that first week that they brought out Chad Gable and they brought Penta in the next week. Penta right now is the god to me right now. I think Penta's great. I think Penta is fantastic because I watched the Lucha Underground. It was all right, things like that. I didn't follow the AAA. I didn't follow him on AEW, but once he got here, man, and everything went as such, I was like, this is the dude I want to watch. That's the dude that's a little older, paid his dues, in here getting it and everything. You know what I mean? Like I was like, this is the dude that I want to watch. And actually, I bought a shirt the other day, having it delivered, to the house because I'm like, I'm supporting this guy. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, like, I dig the wrestling the way that it's going for that such. But at the same time, it's not like it was Attitude Era. It's not Attitude Era anymore. But
I don't think anything's ever going to compare to Attitude Era, just because not just like the guys that were a part of it, just like how everything was, how it's not just a
over the top. Over the top.
I mean, you're never gonna have another, Shane McMahon being thrown off the cage or throw off the scaffold, like when you see stuff
Mankind
like that,
falling through the cage, getting slammed, and then off the cage, everything, and then the beat to death with bats, pretty much. The sledgehammer stuff on the coffins, like that Triple H used to do, like running beer trucks in, like everything that was everything. DX with everything they did, like you don't have that. You don't have that.
The Rock
And it was awesome.
Cold is what made that era. Like, as much as we love like Triple H and DX and like The Rock and Stone Cold made that era.
Well, I mean, who else has, T-shirts that still sell more than anybody else? Stone Cold.
Yeah, Stone
Everybody
Cold.
wants something Stone Cold. Still to this day, you know what I mean? That's the dude. That is the brand.
If he never had the neck injury and the knee injuries, like how much more we would have been able to enjoy that out of him, man.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. I watched his biography, and it was a good time for him to be able to go home and get right with his kids and stuff too. Because like he was talking about, one of them has an English accent now, and she's from Texas. So that's you get what I'm saying? Like that. That's kind of
like he has like chickens and cats and stuff like that. Like he's a at-home dad now, man.
There you go. So and, I dig it.
Yeah,
I think Seth and Punk would be something I would watch, but you would hope that Punk had gained enough knowledge to be able to take out a dude who really doesn't train as such. But at the same time, like, it's a fight game. It's something that anything could happen, and Punk was not a legitimate professional. It just is what it is. And I liked watching it. Don't get me wrong. He was entertaining wrestler. He's like we talk about too, though. He's a pro athlete. That man went out and entertained people and put his body on the line and hurt himself for many years for everybody's entertainment. Respect. Yeah, but you are not a pro fighter.
Respect, yes. Absolutely agree with that one. I'd be remiss not to bring this up, being that it's the draft day weekend, right? I don't know if you've seen this, but
he finally got hit by the Browns, right?
The Saints pick. Dustin Poirier announced the Saints pick.
I did not see that. I was watching the Shador thing pretty intently because I think the NFL did him dirty. That is dirty to do that.
Everyone on the social media was like, "Oh, it's a race thing. It's a race." Oh, no. It's not a race thing. It's a class thing. It's a class thing. It's your place, because Dion has been building his own brand, been rubbing everyone the wrong way. I remember when he was doing the draft stuff and he was destroying Mel Kiper and all these, and he didn't hold any punches back. He'd be like, "You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Stop talking about that kid. I've seen him. I've been on the field with him. I know what he can do. Watch him get drafted, regardless if he goes here or goes there, and watch this kid do X, Y, and Z." And guess what? 9 times out of 10, Dion was spot on. And then all of a sudden, a few years, he disappeared from the NFL Network, and he was doing his thing in college. And I think the main thing is he's kind of been putting it out there that he wanted to coach both of his kids. And that he was going to see where they ended up, was trying to manufacture where they ended up and see if he could make that happen. If you're a front office, if you're a coach, were you going to draft any one of them kids for a guy to come in to take your job, who's arguably has a lot more, star power and push? No, you're not going to do that.
As an owner, though. Go to the owners side of things. What does that do for your brand? Where does it take you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at how he's done for everything else. As if you want to talk about branding and everything like that, yes, people don't like him as such, things like that. But the people in the industry, but the people love him. People follow Coach Prime. People watch Coach Prime. People watch to see what he has to say and things like that. People watch his kids because of how it is. Now, they're being punished for that also. They are being punished for that. And I feel like that's garbage.
It is.
Now, could it be somewhat racial, things like that, and take it as such? It could be. It could be. But at the same time, it's a punishment that they're throwing down that is garbage. No matter how you run it, if it's because of somebody doesn't want their job taken, somebody doesn't want that kid on there because he's mouthy, they don't want Dion to come in as such, or it's the race thing. Those are all garbage excuses to not draft a child where he earned to be drafted at. And don't get me wrong, he talks a lot, things like that. But his dad talked a lot. His dad still didn't have any problems getting anywhere he wanted, getting paid anything he wanted, playing anything he wanted because he was that damn good. This kid is not his dad, but that kid is good.
Yeah, and even his other son, didn't get drafted, but Tampa Bay immediately signed him, and he's going to play for the Buccaneers this year. But the fact that Cleveland wound up with him, which is I kind of felt like it was either there or Pittsburgh was kind of where he would wind up. When he fell out of the first, I was actually thinking Jacksonville as well because
No.
because
Jacksonville.
they got a problem down there with their starting quarterback. He don't look like he's that guy,
No,
and maybe you could have flipped Trevor Lawrence for some picks and then have
no.
Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders there. But him staying there in Cleveland with some of the stuff going on, he's got some guys there that he'll have a year or so before he's probably going to be asked to take snaps there. I think all that does is help him at the end of the day. Is it
Yeah,
crappy what way that the NFL, the owners, the coaches kind of punish these kids on that basis, regardless of what it is. It's
yeah.
wrong. You don't do that for somebody who's earned their way, regardless if you feel it's nepotism that's got him there, regardless if you feel that his dad's been pulling strings. No one said a damn thing when Eli Manning's dad was like, oh, he's not playing for San Diego. I want him to play in New
I
York.
remember that. I remember that. I remember him going, I'm not doing it. I'm not going. And then at that, how about Johnny Manziel?
He was
All the crap he
probably
did.
he
All
was
the
probably
crap
the
he
most
did. All the exactly. Hey man, hey, this dude was a turd human in college and everything like that too though. Went farther, got arrested as such and all these things. How are you gonna say and keep and be like, oh, he talks too much, this, that, and the other? Johnny Manziel still went. And that was brought up by another friend of mine, and he is standing on that hill. Don't get me wrong, but I was like, that's a good hill. That's a fantastic hill right now to be standing on because that's right. You get what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
that's not okay. And don't get me wrong, it takes people that are oppressed as such to see it like that. But once you're put it in that light to me too, I'm like, that is right. What the hell's going on here? So
And
don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it's a full race thing, but it could be.
Baker Mayfield was just as brash, just as mouthy, just as confident. Whatever word you want to attach to it. Granted,
Yeah.
it's taken him, a handful of teams that before, like, all right, he's down there in Tampa
Yeah.
now, and he's still that same guy.
That's the one I meant. I didn't mean Johnny Manziel. I meant Baker Mayfield. You're right. I'm sorry. I mixed my
Well, no,
names up there.
Manziel's another case
Manziel
though.
was a turd too, though. Yeah.
I mean, like but he was doing way worse than what Shador's doing. He's
Oh
partying.
wait.
They didn't care about the game in any way, shape, or form, and it came all to the forefront when he got there in Cleveland. There's
Yeah.
videos of that rolling around social media now, talking about how his quarterback room was hell for him. Brian Hoyer was just absolutely destroying him. Like, we're doing this again. You don't know this. You don't know that. Like, no,
Yeah.
he wants your job, fool.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
and it's like I say too though, it's terrible what they did. It really is, and the way that they're handling it right now is not okay. It's not, and it sets a precedence to other people, and it sets divisions, things like that that are being set up because of it. I get it. Don't get me wrong. They're like, oh, we're trying to keep it from being division. The things like that. Whoever it went to it as such and went there, like I say, your brand was going to jump. no matter what it is, that your brand was going to jump. Everybody should be on board with that. You know what I mean? This is what it is.
But now what I was going to ask about the Dustin doing the pick, if you could ever have a chance to do that, what would you do with your time outside of just announcing that pick?
So I would hope it'd be the Denver Broncos because I'm a Bronco fan. I've been a Bronco fan forever. I would hope to want to do that, man. And honestly, I have no idea how I would act. I was still having a good time whenever it was fun to. I remember being at the Ronda Rousey Liz Carmouche fight, and they had just announced who it was and what team we were on, and I got to wear my jersey out and everything. And I remember standing there thinking, "This is the coolest thing ever." All I did was sign autographs all night. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was just so fun that fans wanted to say hi at that point. And I was a big fan myself too, you know what I mean, of a lot of things. So I would probably be walking around and be like, "Can I get an autograph? Can I get a picture? Can I do this?" Like I would be doing the same thing like that.
Right?
I mean, this thing too though is I remember having so much fun with it with the people that were genuinely excited. And I know that I would be there, be genuinely excited to just hang out and be there. So I would hope that everybody would, kind of be like cool with me being there doing that.
So you were there. You were in the stands as history was made with Ronda and Liz Carmouche's fight. How was that being there for that, man? Because that was literally history being made in front of everyone's eyes.
It was wild because I remember thinking she's gonna fall out of that top because I was in the fighter seating. You know what I mean? So I got to sit down there. That was my first show I got to go to on fighter seating, like being on part of the UFC, everything like that. It was just one of the cooler events I'd ever been to. Because it was as such. I was a part of it, things like that. And I remember thinking she's gonna fall out of that top. You know what I mean? And whenever everything went down the way it did, and she got up and did that, it was kind of a staple for a new era. You know what I mean? The staple of all right, women are here now. They're coming in. They're gonna do this. And I remember just how it is, the awe of everything that was going on around me at that point. Just the awe of it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
It's a rare thing to be a part of history like that, regardless if you're in the ring, outside of it, covering the event. Like so many people were there, and and then seeing how far women's MMA has come since then. Obviously, Ronda's one of those Mount Rushmore women that we talk to when we're talking about female mixed martial artists.
So I would say Ronda's on it, but
Yeah.
like I say too though, you got to have Gina, you got to have Chris.
You see,
Now
now I
it's
was just about
Amanda.
to ask you that.
Amanda has to be on it also.
Yes, you just
Gina, Chris,
named
Amanda.
Mount Rushmore. In my opinion, I don't.
Yeah.
Like you would think maybe somebody like Joanna Jędrzejczyk, or maybe even Rose has put herself on there because she's beaten two of the biggest women's there at strawweight, but she hasn't had the longevity of the defenses to kind of say that she would be there.
Yeah, she doesn't get that overall great or overall just did
Yeah,
something
but
to where you can't keep her name out of your mouth. Gina Carano hasn't fought in how long, and you still can't keep her name out of your mouth.
It's sad
Whenever
what
you talk
ESPN
about
did.
greats.
I'm glad that Dana called it out. It's sad what ESPN did to her, man. That was beyond effed up. Like, how do you have a top 10 women's MMA of all time list and then not put Gina Carano on it? That's it's either lazy writing or it's
Somebody
whatever.
who just doesn't know. Just doesn't know. There are so many people. I remember whenever I was already fighting MMA, and I remember we were on MMA.TV, the underground, and everything like that. And I was a no name on it. I didn't have a name. I would just kind of watch and read and watch videos and things like that. And it came to that point whenever the Ultimate Fighter hit, you had all these new people coming into it, and you were a tough noob at that point. You know what I mean? The NOOB, the tough noob was what you were at that point because you weren't in it before that. You weren't there before, when we were there with all the crap that we just dealt with and the garage trainings and everything like that. It started to come around and be a little more mainstream. You're a tough noob at that point. You're not what we are, And don't get me wrong, I'm not even very far past that. I just made the cut real close, you know what I mean? And I remember all that happening and everybody like not knowing anything, but I remember also learning as much as I could and things like that about everything that had ever happened. I mean, it was just Yeah, but people don't take it into that. They just see what they see on mainstream. They don't know who's who of sorts. I had a guy a couple days ago pull up that backyard fight and talk to me about you're just a turd out there and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, who the hell are you? You'll never amount to anything. And this is how turds fight. And I'm like, do you know who you're even talking to? I was like, dude, I said, I want you to come up here. And I said, you and me can do an MMA dog rules fight next time that this dude comes to town. He's like, come on down to a real gym where we got a real coach that's actually been in the UFC and he can watch over us because, I'm in shape 24/7 all year round. And I'm like, do you know what you're talking about? I was like, do you even know what you're talking about? Who you're talking to? I was like, dude, I was like, you sound like a moron right now. Like you don't even know who I am, and you're in Texas. I was like, and you don't know I'm from Texas, and I'm here doing this. And I'm just like, they don't have respect for the history of it. You know what I mean? Like that's like I tell people too, though. Bellator, I taped hands in Bellator 5. The next week, fought in Bellator 6. Taped hands the next week in Bellator 7. Just little things that people don't know. You know what I mean? Like I was around. I watched Masvidal get choked out by Toby Amada, and I was the only one in the crowd that knew it was coming. I was yelling, "Oh, he got that!" As he jumped on, I was like, "He's choking him right now!" And then when he fell over, everybody freaks out, and I'm like, "Nobody else knew that was about to happen." Like it was crazy to me. And I remember being there for that and just thinking, "Oh my god!" Bellator 5. It's just kind of, and I was already deep into it. I think I had. Let me think here. I'd already had like 15 pro fights by then. It's just the way that the world works out here at that time.
Yeah, it's I'll say this much to end the Mount Rushmore talk. The saying goes, Gina Carano crawled so Ronda can run.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and the sad part is there was even people before Chris, before Gina too. That
Oh, Julie Kedzie doing the fight too, though, is the crazy part. Is Julie was the one that Gina had the fight with. Well, heck, you watch Julie back in the day; she was hook and shoot champ. Everything, like everybody forgets all that. You got Tara LaRosa that was killing everybody for years and years and years.
So there you go.
Me and Tara, we talk here and there. As a matter of fact, Tara, I'm still sorry a couple that I missed your wedding whenever I got shot.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I called her out. I was like, she's like, you still coming? I was like, I got shot. I'm not going nowhere. And I kind of talked to her about it and everything. It was wild, but I'm still sorry, Tara.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. But yeah, I was actually, she invited me. I watched her fight to get in the house on Tough 18, and she didn't make it in. But at the same time, like I was there for that. Like just these are my folks. You know what I mean?
like we're the OGs now, Bubba.
Right. Yeah, that's like I say too. Though it's crazy. I'm about to be 42 in a week, literally a week actually. So it's crazy. Just think about that and still be trying to fight. Can't help it. But it's just that you get the people that were before me that I'm like, oh, that's a legend. Oh, like people are just like, who? I'm like, oh my god, I hate you. I hate you. Like even Pedro Hizzo. People are like, huh? Marco Huas. Huh? Who's that? Like I hate all of you. I hate you. Boz Ruden. Who's that? What do you mean? Who's Boz Ruden? Like this. Who's Mark Kerr? Who's Mark Kerr? They say. I'm like, what do you mean? Who's Mark Kerr? It's like.
I can't wait for the Wrecking Machine movie to come out too.
Yeah, the new movie that's popping off. Yeah, I heard that was being made. I don't know anything about the dates or anything like that though, but I heard it was coming.
I think it's coming out this fall. Coleman was on set. Ryan Bader's playing Coleman, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
He's another one, man. I was talking to him a few weeks ago. They need to have a movie about that man's life.
Coleman was a madman back in the day. Coleman was a madman.
He's still a madman. Him and Vanderlei are talking about wheelchair boxing.
Jesus Christ. Hey, I'm gonna tell you what though, that dude running into the house, saving his parents and things like that, and ended up in the hospital and oh man.
I still
what kind of gangster stuff is that?
Yeah,
you are so awesome.
He was just weeks removed from a hip surgery, man.
Right. You are so awesome though. Mark Coleman is a gangster.
He's a rare human being, dude. Just
right.
he's a genuine dude. He's still in that mindset. And look, man, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I love seeing the stuff, the comings and goings of his life. And we talk about him saving his family, but he lost his best friend that day. He went back in there for the dog and didn't get the dog.
Yeah.
So I mean that's
he almost gave his own life to do all that though too. You get what I'm saying? His own life was almost gone.
Yeah, man, watching
Cheat up from the feet up. Yeah.
He's one of those rare human beings, and man, it's one of those things, man. But obviously, I want to get one more in here before we wrap this one up.
Right on.
BYB is now the promotion you were at. You'd already been in there with now the current BKFC middleweight champion Chris Camozzi was victorious this afternoon in Italy, but
yeah,
BYB is merged with BKB.
BKB, yep.
So that you're now going to get stuff overseas. A lot more some more of the overseas fighters. Just seeing they just had another big card announced with Jamie Driver and Helen Peralta is going to be fighting on that event. And
crazy.
It's
fun. It's fun to sit there and go, yeah, I got to be a part of that on both sides of things. Like now, I get to say, oh, which organization you fight for? The big ones. You know what I mean?
Literally,
the big ones.
You literally fought for every big promotion there has been out there.
The one that I missed that I really wanted to do was Pride. I really wanted to do a Pride fight before that ended up going crazy, but it didn't end up happening. So but that was one of those that it was still above my league at that point, sadly.
So if you're gonna get to have a fight and you get to fight anywhere where on this green earth that we live on right now, where are you picking right now? Are you like an Australia guy? Do you want to go to Brazil? You want to go back? You want to go to Japan and do something like be there in Pride or the Saitama Super Arena? Like what?
So this is a pick anywhere you want to go, any fight MMA style or anything like that.
It's listen, your bucket list destination for your fight, regardless if you're talking your farewell fight or you're just talking a place in the world you want to go and
man, I've any person who's like me dreams of the Coliseum. I want them to floor out the Coliseum and fight in the Coliseum.
I heard KFC was trying to do that. That's why they were in Italy this year.
So I'm going to say this. You're going to have hard goings doing that. That would be cool as hell. You know what I mean? That would be cool as hell for anybody who ever gets to do that. And I mean, that would be just one of those things. But it's the monument of what it was, things like that. Like if we get in there, and even if you just did it on the dirt out there as such, and you got to do that, that would be who else in the world would say no to that? Who would say no to that? Who would ever say no? You're going to fight in the Coliseum in Italy. You know what I mean? You're going to fight in the Coliseum. Okay. Who am I fighting? I don't care. You know what I mean? Or this is the rules. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like it's no matter who it is, you're going to fight Fedor in his prime. You're going to fight Krokop in his prime as such. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. That's where I'm going.
I get to fight in the Coliseum. That's all. Listen, that's something you can't take away from my memories, from my family, my friends, my cornermen. Like we get to say we were there.
Well, and that's the thing too is I tell people I only won one fight in the UFC, but the one I won was in Vegas, in Mandalay Bay. Everything as such. I had a bunch of family in the crowd. I remember looking over, seeing my buddies that got the floor tickets through the crowd as such, having a good time with it. And like I say, still the best night of my life for fight wise and stuff like that. But it's one of those things. The memories are all we have. I remember how fun and how great that night was, but the memory of it is all I have anymore. And so if I can make another memory of anything that's that great, that would top it, that would be it.
Not bad at all. Now, obviously you're signed, multi-fight deal. When are you looking to get in there? Is it going to be closer towards the end of the year? Like if you have a perfect timeline, how does it all play out?
If it was a perfect timeline, it'd be June. I'm on track to be ready by June. And I need to know these things to keep myself in the right the right frame of mind, stuff like that. I'm a goal oriented person. I'm in that point where I'm in shape right now, but I need fine tuning on who I'm fighting, uh, where I'm going to fight. If it's going to be somewhere high altitude or stuff like that, like I need to change up, start wearing deprivation masks, things like that is what I do, and make my way out that way early, stuff like that. That would be it. I would like to fight in June, but at the same time too, though, needs to hurry if I'm going to fight in June because I still got old man medicals to do, and those take a while to schedule. So.
I love that. Old man medicals. Love that.
Yeah, you know how it is. MRIs, EKGs, EEGs, all the good stuff. And gotta gotta get those little tabs put on the head, go do this all that. You know how it is. It's fun. Cost 3-4 grand, to do.
They need to exempt you guys from that stuff, especially when it's for a fight, man. It's one of the things I talk about. You combat sports athletes are the most undervalued, underappreciated pay wise when it comes to when we're talking about the major four sports. And
yeah, well, my first fight purse is most of it's going to be spent on the medicals. So that's what I tell people. They're like, "How much money are you going to make?" I was like, "None." Why are you doing it? Because I wanna. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I want to do. Like it's in my. They're like, "That's just crazy." Be me. You know what I mean? Like, it's what I want to do. So.
Hey man, I hope we get to hear some type of fight announcement at some point in time.
Oh yeah.
Is there anyone on the roster that you got a few names circled that you would love to kind of see their names go on the contract pushed next to you?
Honestly, there's one that I don't, and it's the kid that talks too much crap and everything like that. And I told him, I said, "You and me will never fight for money," because he started talking crap about. He's like, "You want to get bent over and get the cheeks clapped in May?" And I tried to tell him, I was like, "There's a kid, it's a Tomlinson kid or whatever," and I'm just like, "Listen, dude," I said, "Go ahead and be a little more respectful than that, and we can talk business and everything like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm about hype, this, that, and the other. That's cool. But when you start talking about you're gonna boo-foo me right off the bat and everything like that, and you talk crap, and it comes off sideways, and then I try to tell you that, and you send a shut up to me and everything like that. Now you and me don't get to fight for money. You and me get to fight for honor." And then you and me are going to go in an alley, and one of us is walking out of it. Is how you and me are going to fight. So what I'm going to tell you is if you don't want that, be cool when you see me, because you'll never get a contract to fight me now, because you and me are never going to fight for money. We're going to fight for honor if we ever fight. And I promise, this thumb will be about that deep inside of your eyeball when I'm doing it. So. Just know I'm old enough to wear a career. I don't have to have one. He's still young enough to where he thinks he wants to fight career and continue. I will end our careers together. So that's just an old man talking to you right now.
Yeah, that we do get a little upset when some of the younger kids just don't know what they're talking about, and you go about it the wrong. There's ways to hype a fight up, to get under somebody's skin, to get a name on a contract that you want, regardless if he thinks he's better than you or whatever.
Oh, I mean, he could be. He could be. In a bare knuckle boxing match, he could be. It is what it is. Thing is, though, is now you don't get the chance, and you and me will be doing it some other way. So, and then, like I say, if I get told I have to, this, that, and the other, or whatever, that's cool. They're gonna be real upset whenever I walk in and put a thumb in his eye, and we have to all go to jail that day. So I mean, like I said, I'm finding God. Don't get me wrong, as such, but I'm still one of those guys. Like, you mess with the wrong thing. You said the wrong things, my man. Let's avoid each other. And I'm just saying, I want to avoid him. And there are tougher guys than him. That is such. Put the name on the contract. Not a big deal. I just want to fight. You know what I mean? Like I just want to get out there. I want to entertain. I want to have a good time. I want to have some more life experiences, like we talked about. Experience and memories is all I have to live for anymore.
Listen, that's what keeps us going most of the time is things like that. So, but almost an hour and a half on here with you, Bubba.
I'm sorry.
Listen, ain't nothing to be sorry about. Like, this is one of those times. Like, this is why I do this, man. It's just so we have conversations. So people who between all of us, you know, can hear stories, can hear life experiences, can just hear other people's opinions and thoughts on things is why I enjoy doing this. It's not, you know, I don't do it for how many people are watching or how many viewers I get or how many that is so irrelevant to me. Everything's about we all have this platform and we all, you know, we all can share our experiences and can share our thoughts and just help each other, make other connections, grow, whatever, learn new things, etc. It's why I
Right.
do this, man. Really.
Right on, man. I love it. I appreciate that right there, all in itself. You know, and that's like I say too, though. If you were sitting in my backyard with me, as you are, like actually here, sitting in the other chair, I'd be talking just the same way. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
This is how I am. This is what goes on, and I like to have these conversations. I tell people all the time, if we have legitimate debate, conversations, things like that, I love it. I want to sit there. I want to hang out. I want to have a good time. I want to talk about things that were good. You know what I mean? Like life in combat sports for me was great. It's the best thing that happened to me in my life. You know, we can talk about the bad times too and all that, but I want to have good memories the rest of my life. You know what I mean? That's what we're looking to have. Even if
Absolutely.
things don't just go my way, you know, like memories, man. Like you say, we're living for memories now.
That's absolutely what we're doing when we're at this age, man. I'm you know, I'm 44, going to be 45 that down here in November. So it's like I know
You
what you
know,
I know I get what you're saying, my friend. So
right on, right on.
what I
Well,
typically
heck,
do.
man, stay in touch when we get done with this, also, too, man. That was
Oh
good
yeah, dude. Listen,
conversation.
you got my number now. Listen, you
Heck
know,
yeah,
I may have you come on here again with me. I'm having a blast, dude. Like I love
heck
talking
yeah,
with you.
heck
So
yeah.
what I like to do here at the end of these things is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you, my friend. Anyone you would like to thank, you know, trainer partners, teammates, shoot out your gym, social media sites, any sponsors you have, any last words about anything, any message you want to get out there, Bubba. The time is yours, my friend.
Let's say this. There's a lot of people throughout my career that have been up and down with me. I started off with the team of guys out here from Henrietta, Texas, over in the east side of town at the YOC. The crazy part is there's still a couple of them that are still moving around that I still get to train with nowadays that I'm back home again. The people that I moved to Indiana with, my buddy Carver, his son, I'm watching him wrestle right now. He's a wrestling stud up there. Aiden Carver, keep your eyes on that kid. He's going to be something one day. But just the friendships I made up there with the people that are there, the people that I've got back in Albuquerque. I'm gonna tell you what, Albuquerque showed more love than my hometown ever showed me. And I'm gonna tell you what, the love I have for Albuquerque is huge. Jackson Wink down there is always going to be the team that I support as such like that. Steven the War Man, everybody that was at Team Takedown that let me in there to be a part of that team and showed me love there. Steven, Razak, everybody that still comes around, you know, that I talk to that are friends to me. And like I say, more than friends, I consider Steven my fight father these days. Like I say, we talk about that. That's my fight father. And people that I've had a lot of love shown from that didn't owe me anything throughout my career. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much. BKB, thank you for taking a chance on me here just to let an old man go out there and have a good time some more. You know, everybody that's such, I want to say a big justice for Wilder. We're still fighting for that again since the appeal came through. Justice for Wilder is a huge thing. Support that. Try to keep JS3, the baby murderer, in prison. So, other than that, Menace out.
All right, Bubba. Give me all the information on that too, man. Like anything that I can do to support. You know, if we can write our article over here at the South Florida Tribune as well. Let me know. I definitely would
There you go.
definitely love to keep people informed what's going on with stuff like that. People like
Right
that,
on.
they don't deserve their breath. They don't deserve to be walking around free on this earth, my friend. And free
Absolutely.
on this earth meaning you're going to be able to be able to be in a situation to do something stupid that's going to hurt the people around you. So I don't want that to happen. So
Right.
um,
Right.
you know, you're definitely in my prayers when it comes to that. I couldn't imagine, dude. Could not imagine. I would not be. I would not. I wouldn't be here doing a podcast talking to you if somebody had did something like that to my kid. That's all I gotta say.
Like I said, grace and divine intervention. There,
That's all.
that's the reason.
Sometimes that's all. That's all you really need to kind of, you know, get past some of that. At least enough to not want to put yourself in a situation where you know you're in confinement in some type of way.
Correct. Correct.
Um,
Hard goings, but we're gonna get it done. We'll get it done again. I had a hard go the first time. This time though, I know what's gonna happen. I know we're gonna win again. We just got to go through the process again. The process sucks, but at the same time, I'm here to fight it.
do what you got to do. Anything that we can do to help Bubba, let us know. Appreciate your time this evening, and we definitely got to do it again sometime as we get closer to fight announcement, fight camp, the whole nine, my friend.
Heck yeah! As soon as I know something, you'll know too.
Listen, I'm looking forward to my friend Bubba. Appreciate your time this evening, my friend.
All right. Hey, thank you for getting a hold of me. It was fun.
Not a problem, man. Let's do, like I said, let's do it again soon, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the family time, and we'll definitely do it again soon, my friend.
My man.
All right, and that was the man himself, the Menace, Bubba McDaniels. Listen, we touched on everything you could think of on this episode: life, fighting, everything in between. That guy's got stories that you wouldn't know, and he's been around the block and then some. So appreciate Bubba's time. Anybody that wants to help him out and connect him with what he's going on, reach out to us, reach out to Bubba. Another fun one in the books here on the parting shot. I'm your host, Steve Rochelle. This was another fun one on the South Florida Tribune Network, and we will be back tomorrow with another fun guest, and that's going to be, you're going to have to see tomorrow to find out.